All right, the next motor we're going to disassemble and assemble is the motors that are associated with Tomy Plarail, Thomas, and a lot of the coaches that push Thomas, like in on the Talking Thomas, or some of the motors that push some trains that don't have motors inside the locomotive itself. All right, that's this motor. To take it apart, there's only two screws right here on this side right here. So let's go ahead and take it apart. Let you see the guts of it. There is a couple little tricks to this one. Not very complicated, but if you don't know what those tricks are, sometimes it might make it a little difficult to take it apart. All right, so here comes the push down a little bit on that little guy right there, and it helps bring it apart better. All right, we've got it apart now. And notice that this motor stands up, whereas the other one I was working with, it laid down flat. This one stands up. Okay, but generally I work from the bottom up, taking it apart. And this little gear right here is a spring-loaded gear. Now, what is important about this little gear, and it's really hard to see in this picture, there's actually two halves. There's the part on the right-hand side, and then there's a part on the left-hand side. And it's a spring keeping the two halves together, pushing to keep them together. Now, this is a safety feature that is built into the trains. And when your train's running around the track, normal, these two halves stay together. All right, but let's say your train is running around the track and your little brother or somebody, your little sister comes along and grabs a hold of it while it's moving. And all of a sudden it starts making a clicking noise, click, 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 click. Well, what happens is this is basically like a limited slip kind of gear system. And but there's a little knot right there. I don't know if you can see the little knot right there. And you come around and there's another one there. And on there's four of them. And what happens when you grab a hold of the train while it's moving, this part right here keeps turning. But this, because you got a hold of it, and that's the part that comes in contact with the axle gear, it's held fast, but this is turning and it makes a clicking noise. So what it does, it lets the gears inside the motor keep turning, but you're holding this one down. All right. So it's a built-in feature, and it's just a safety feature. It's like a limited slip gear. All right, let's set that down right there. And this is just another little gear. And I didn't clean this motor or anything like that before I brought it out. Okay, put that right there. And then we have another spring. If you watch my other video, this is also the gear, the switch gear, compress. This is the end that rides up on that ramp that I told you about. And this is the one that engages and disengages the electric motor gears. All right, so we'll put that down right there. Now, I call this as a flywheel. It sort of looks like a flywheel to me. All right, the flywheel, and it's also attached to a worm gear. And it's pretty nasty, but anyway, take that out of there. All right, now, we're not done. Just like on the other one, I had to disconnect the switch. I have to do that on this one too. So let's go ahead and remove that one screw right there. That'll disconnect the... whoop! Spin the whole thing. Okay, now it's done. Set that right there so I can remember how it all goes back together. All right, now this comes out. Well, the switch can come right off. And it's just like the other... And there's the ramp right there, and the little bump that makes the clicking noise that pushes the switch gear. Set that down right there. Now let's take a look at here, and this comes out. Now, if you ever get confused about this, see the little mound right there? That is the part that comes toward the battery. Okay, set that down. Now, this gets a little difficult because they put it on this lip. They bent it over on this little lip, and you got to click that out and lift it up and out at the same time. Let me get me some tools in there to help. There we go. And it all comes out. There's the two halves. And this is the two sides of the motor, and this is the wires. They're not wires, but they're performing like a wire that connects to the battery. I mean, to the motor. All right, so that's totally disassembled. Let's put it back together again. All right, so we take the bottom half, put it back up, put it back together exactly the way you put it apart. And we got to get it over this hump again. This is the hard part. There we go. We're back in there. They're not quite there because this is not sitting flush. See right here? This would cause a problem. See, it's not sitting flush right there. That's better. All right, so we got that there. Now we got to put the other side. This is the part that touches the battery right there. It slides in right like, yep, that's my screwdriver. Slides in right like that. Okay, put the switch on. I always put the metal side down. And switch cover. Okay, that's on. Now to put all the gears back on. The fly rod gear with its worm gear goes right in there. Okay. The switch gear with its spring. Okay. This is transitional gear. And the limited slit clutch gear, and it also comes in contact with the now right here, make sure this is in there, and this has to be bent down a little bit for this all to come back together properly. Okay, that's done. Put our gears back in. I mean, excuse me, our screws. All right, that's the assemble of a Thomas type coach type motor. Thanks for watching.